In the next part of the lesson, we're going to take our equations for a hyperbola and then identify the parts. So we're going to figure out the vertices, foci, asymptotes, domain, and range, as well as the center, because we really need the center to find all of this information anyways. Okay. All right, so this is in the form that we need it to be in, so we don't need to worry about making any changes. So I'm going to start by identifying the direction. So because the x squared term is positive, we know that this is going to be horizontal. And then since there aren't any numbers with the x or y up in the numerator, the center is going to be 0, 0. Okay. So now we need to figure out the vertices. So again, there's going to be 2. And then the foci. So we'll have 2 of those points as well. And then the asymptotes. So that's going to be an equation. And then we need to identify domain and the range. Okay. So to identify these parts, we need A, B, and C. So A is always the first one for a hyperbola. So we're going to take the square root of 36. So A is going to be 6. B is always the second number. So we're going to take the square root of 4, which is 2. And then to find C, we are using the equation c squared equals a squared plus b squared. So we would add these numbers together, and then we're going to take the square root of that. So 36 plus 4 is 40. Okay, so again, we just added to get 40. And then we would take the square root of that. So if we simplify it, this would be 2 times 10. So, or excuse me, 4 times 10, and then when we take the square root of 4, we would get 2. So C is going to be 2 square root of 10. Now, just to give us kind of a basic idea of our graph, so again, we're going to have the center, so that's our 0, 0, and it's going to be horizontal, so we'll have a vertice out here somewhere. And then it's going to open up this direction. Okay. So from the center to a vertice, this is our A value. And we know that A is 6. So since we're going horizontal, we are going to add and subtract 6 from the x value of our center. So if we start with a negative 1, 0, and then if we go 6 this direction, will be negative 6. So our first vertice is at negative 6, 0. And then this one will be at positive 6, 0. And then our foci is inside, so we'll have a point somewhere in there. So that's our C value. So again, we're going left and right, so that's going to change the x value of our center. And our C was 2 square root of 10. So we're going to take 0 and add that. So that's going to give us a positive 2 square root of 10. And then y is still 0. And then if we subtract it, we would have a negative 2 square root of 10 and 0 for that. And then for the asymptotes, we are going to use the formula that they give us. So again, horizontal. So that's going to be this one. So we're going to replace h and k with 0. And then we will replace b and a with, let's see, what is it? 2 and 6. And then we need to simplify that. So okay, so again, we're not going to have the k, so this will just be y equals, and then b over a. So 2 over 6 is going to simplify to be 1/3. And then we would have x minus h. So again, since we don't have an h, we're not going to write the 0. So this is just going to be x. And then we also need to remember to put the plus minus in front of it, because that's going to count for both of those asymptotes. All right, and then the last thing we need to identify is our domain and range. So again, because it's horizontal, the domain is going to have 2 parts for it, one on each side. So from this first one, the domain is going to come from negative infinity up to our vertex, and the x value of our vertice is negative 6. And then we're going to start at the next vertice, which is positive 6, to positive infinity. And then the range is all real numbers. Okay. So all of this is our answer to that problem. All right, so if we take a look at the next one, so we're going to start same way. So this one we know is going to be vertical. And that is because our y squared term is positive. The center is going to be at -2. So remember, h is with the x, so -2 and then -5. And then we're going to need the vertices, the foci, the asymptotes, domain, and range. Okay, so to identify this, we need a, b, and c. So again, a squared is always the first one. So the square root of 16 is 4, so a is 4. The square root of 36 is 6, so our b value is going to be 6. And then to get our c, we're using, again, that formula, c squared equals a squared plus b squared. So we would take 16 plus 36, which is 52. And then we would take the square root of each of those. So let's see, we can split that as 4 and 13. So that means our c is going to be 2 square root of 13. And now we are just substituting. So again, if we start with a picture, just so we have something to look at, we know that we'll have our center at -2, -5, and then we'll have vertices above and below it, and it's going to open up and it's going to open down. Okay. So we know this value. This value is our a, which is 4. So since we're moving up and down, that means that the x value is going to stay the same on our vertices, and then our y value is going to change. So if we start with this vertice right here, so again, that's going to be -2 for the x, and then we're going down 4 for this. So -2 minus 4 will be -6 for the vertice. And again, for this one, so again, our x is going to stay the same, so -2. And then we're counting up 4, so -2 plus 4 will be +2 for the other vertice. And then our c value, again, those come from the focus, and the focus is always inside of our parabola. So again, from the center to the focus is our c, and we know that c is 2 square root of 13. So again, because we're going up and down, for the foci, the x value is going to be the same as the center. So we'll have -2. And then if we start with this one, we are subtracting. So it's going to be -5 minus 2 square root of 13. So -5 minus 2 square root of 13. And then for the second one, so again, we're going to go up. So x stays the same. And then we're going to take -5, and we are going to add 2 square root of 13. And for the asymptotes, we're going to just use our formula and plug that information in. So it's vertical. So again, we're using this formula. So again, I'm just going to take this and I'm going to substitute, and then we have to make sure that we're simplifying this fraction. So that will give us, so y minus k, and our k value is -5, so this will become a +5, equals plus and minus a over b. So we have 4 over 6, which will reduce to 2/3, and then parenthesis x minus h. So we're subtracting a negative, so it'll become +2. And we don't need to simplify, we're just going to leave it exactly like that. So domain and range, so domain this time is all reals, and then our range is coming from -infinity up to the vertice. So -infinity to, and then our vertice for the y value is going to be -6. Or we're going to start at the next vertice, so that's at 2 for the y value, to +infinity. So that'll be the domain and range. So again, all of this information is our answer.